Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Upasika and in today's vlog I will show you what we did before leaving Kolakham and how we reached Lolegaon. So this is 23rd October's vlog. So after we woke up we had our bed tea around 8 with biscuits which we were carrying. Then we got ready to leave Kolakham and drive through lava to Lolegaon. Right opposite the homestay, just across the road and a little higher up, stood a small Durga temple. A short flight of steps led up to it. I went there on our last morning in Kolakham before heading out. My mother was very busy in our last moment packing because if we left anything behind, it will stay there forever. So I stepped out alone, climbed the short stairs to the Durga temple across from our homestay. No one was there. The front door had a small flower garland and the door was not locked, just pulled shut. I did not open it. I filmed whatever was around, stood there for a minute, and then I went back to our homestay. Strings of lights were attached from the top of the temple, which were definitely unlit in the morning, but I could picture them glowing at night. The family who ran our homestay owned the shrine. Mostly pujas happen in this temple during the rains. On our first night, we got the best room in the homestay, and I am not only talking about the size, though it was the biggest, but the light, the woodwork, the way beds were placed, the balcony, everything. It felt like the whole place had been built around that room. We slept there once, and by noon, the next day, we were shifted downstairs to a smaller room. Our room was given to another family. They gave our room to a family of 4 and we were 3, which was a fair thing to do because a bigger family always needs more space, and we were moved downstairs to a smaller room, which I am not complaining, though the second room was also fine. It's just a human nature. Once you have been slept in the best room, you notice the differences in other rooms. Also, we got the best room in the first day because someone with a stake in the homestay is my father's friend. That actually got us the upgrade. The downstairs changed the rhythm. Instead of our own balcony, there was one long shared balcony with stairs running alongside it. You would step out of your door and you were on the main circuit, like people coming in, leaving, hallway talk drifting by. It was more like a shared corridor than a private balcony. The new room was snug, like smaller beds, tighter space, and a little mirror that caught only face and neck. I did a room tour of our second room on our way out when bags were half zipped, beds were unmade, so it looked very much lived in. I had skipped the bathroom tour of our previous room, so I made sure to get it this time. What actually did not change in both the rooms was the washroom. Like the same tiles, same basin, same mirror. You can step inside in either of the two washrooms and you would think you were in this very same washroom. The only thing was this that stayed familiar. Before leaving Kolakham, we asked the homestay owners to pack our breakfast because me and my mom figured that a heavy meal right before the drive would make us sick on the road. They packed aloo parathas and red momo chutney for the road. The chutney was hot, spicy, like the kind of food that makes a car smell like a kitchen. Aloo parathas count as a heavy breakfast because they are stuffed, oily, the kind that sits in your stomach when the road starts winding. Around 10 a.m., we left for Lolegaon in Sunita Auntie's husband's vehicle. Sunita Auntie owned the homestay. She and her family ran the whole homestay themselves, like check-ins, cooking, laundry, all of it. They even book rides for guests, like if you need to go somewhere from Kolakham, they will set you up in their car or call a driver they know. Private drivers cannot go everywhere. Our Shiliguri driver wouldn't take us from Kolakham to Lolegaon. He said that he was not allowed. The hill routes are controlled and only local drivers with permits were allowed to enter. But if a private driver agrees, they charge crazy rates for a short Kolakham to Lolegaon run because it's off permit and risky for them. The ride costed us 5,000. The mountain roads were spotless. That is why people call them silk routes. The roads had no potholes, no lumps, perfectly smooth, way better than the roads on plain lands. And along the way, signboards said that this zone is completely plastic free. While loading our stuff inside the vehicle, we ran into the family who took our old room. They were four in number, parents and two children who were almost my age, and their son also gets motion sickness, same as us. The other members were just fine, like my father. They were also leaving that same day, but later on. That family was from Kolkata. Leaving Kolakham for Lolegaon, the road first winds up through lava where we crossed the lava reservoir. The lava reservoir is an open-air water storage facility located in the small hill station of Lava within the Kalimpong district of West Bengal. Our ride was surprisingly smooth, though it's very rare in hills. Our ride stayed quiet and steady as we curved through the pine strands. Our driver kept nodding and calling out to locals walking by. Quick exchanges were going between them in Nepali at bends and small stalls. Along the road, mountain views opened wide like the layered ridges, clear sky, sun hitting the slopes without glare. We paused at Lava by the big block letters, I love Lava. There we grabbed a couple of photos and some videos. Then again we slid back in and kept down the road to Lolegaon. After we reached Lolegaon, Sunita auntie's husband stuck with us, walked with us past a couple of homestay options, translated in Hindi to us about his Nepali conversations with the homestay owners, also pointed out which balconies caught the afternoon light. He waited until we picked a homestay before heading off. At the Lolegaon homestay, the owners were Nepali, but the ones responsible for running the day-to-day activities were Bengalis. So explaining to them what we needed became very easy. Meeting Bengalis who were managing a homestay in the hills is a bit unexpected. It made us grin and relax, like asking for something became very easy and felt natural. No pantomime needed. Right after we arrived, an orange cat named Ginger trotted up. Cats usually gets frightened, but she leaned in. She let me pet her head, then flopped playfully at my feet with her tail up. She was not at all shy. She was a proper little host. Just after entering the homestay, my mother kept saying it felt like a park because of the dense greenery all around. Trees and leaves framing the path to our room. Just before the homestay entrance, there is a glass house for orchids, fully covered and kept locked from outside, so you only see the opaque panels and the shape of leaves inside. Right before the homestay area, a large board reads, Welcome to Wild Orchid Conservation Center, and below it says, For visiting, please contact, with two phone numbers given below. Since it was locked and managed separately, it makes sense to call ahead if you want a proper peek inside. In our homestay, it wasn't one house, but a handful of wooden cabins scattered down the path, and each is lent by the owners as a quiet place to stay. Around them, black nursery bags crowded the ground like dozens of saplings lined up like stock, most clearly for sale, with a few set aside to plant out. Our cabin had two floors. The ground level was for the guests. We took one room, another family had the other, and the upstairs were kept private for the owners. For lunch, we had rice with dal, paneer curry, vegetables, and pickle, a kind of mixed pickle. The paneer caught a bit of burn, though not completely ruined, just now how we are used to it at home. We mentioned about the paneer, and the chef apologized and genuinely saying that it wouldn't happen again. That humility softened it, and everything else was good. The pleasant surprise here was the free tea and coffee. Every time we asked, there was no charge. The first time I even asked the price, they said it's free. I was shocked because at the previous homestay, milk tea was 20 per cup and black tea for 10. But here it didn't matter. Tea or coffee as many times as you like, no payment. So after lunch, I took out my phone and started filming the back of our homestay unit. Across the way, the one who ran the place, the Bengalis lived there. I wandered around and explored that area on my own. I was exploring alone, but Ginger was with me the whole time. Ginger knew the place, so he was my companion. The homestay sat amid a dense cover of trees and plants. Most I couldn't name because that isn't something I have studied, though I recognize a few common ones. Green everywhere like a carpet laid over the ground. From that spot, the mountains came into view. It is a scene that overwhelmed the senses. While I explored, Ginger stayed with me. Suddenly, he ran up to me. His tail was up in the air. He was purring, rubbing against my legs and circling them. So, he was basically pressing his body to mine and was circling around my legs. For a few seconds, I was scared, like, what if he bites? I thought that he was about to bite me. I had just met him and I was alone out there. There was no one to help me if he bites. So I stepped back. Later, I learned that this is how cats show their affection if they really likes you. And a little further out, while I was exploring, there were many other small houses. Now, I didn't know if they belonged to locals or they were also homestays, and there was no one around. And basically, it was a remote area and I didn't knew anyone, so I didn't go out there. And Ginger was with me throughout the whole time. He was really looking after me. It wasn't just Ginger, but a few dogs also lived at the homestay in Lolegaon where we were staying. That is why I said the owners love animals. In the homestay's garden, there were plenty of sitting spots, and the best part was that they all had shade. You could eat there during the day without worrying about the sun. One table had an umbrella, another had a proper roof. You could sit in the evening too, sheltered from the cold breeze, and in daytime protected from the heat. Sitting in the garden with tea, coffee, or a meal was deeply satisfying. The animals at the homestay were fed every day. In the evening, we went for a short walk nearby. Just outside our homestay, past the lane that led to the main road, we ran into a flock of domestic turkeys. They were a bit intimidating at first. They were squabbling with each other, which made me uneasy. My dad said they are common local birds in these hills. Later, when I looked them up, that they are actually called domestic turkeys, raised in some parts of northeast. In India, the domestic turkey is often called Peru or Peru Pakshi in Hindi, mistakenly connecting the bird to the South American country of Peru. Domestic turkey farming in India is a growing niche poultry sector predominantly focused on meat production rather than egg production. While turkey is not as common as chicken in India, its popularity is rising due to its lean, low cholesterol meal and high profitability. The spot where we saw the turkeys, it wasn't just for turkeys, but they were also raising local chickens, roosters, every kind together. Outside the homestay, there were several local food stalls, but most of them were closed partly because of Bhai Phota. Lolegaon, like Kolakham, is also an offbeat place. Most people haven't heard of it, so very few visitors go there. In the evening, as we walked, the road was nearly empty. Just the three of us on the roadside. There were quite a few stalls along the road and we picked one. Inside it was already packed. We were the only tourists, almost everyone else was local. It wasn't just food, they were selling vegetables too. A Nepali couple were running the stall. They were offering all kinds of Northeast snacks. We ordered one plate of veg momos. They also served Maggie and other items. Everyone else except us were eating Maggie. Our momos took forever. We waited and waited while the stall got more crowded and everyone else got their orders before us. So while we were waiting, one of the Bengalis who ran the homestay Bikramda came into the stall to buy coke for another tourist. He saw us and asked what we were doing there. He said they are preparing snacks for us back at the homestay. My dad also agreed that it was taking too long, so we gave up and left. We had waited about an hour before leaving. Back in the homestay, evening snacks came with tea. Dinner was simple Bengali food like with rice, cabbage with potato, papad, dal, fish curry and the mandatory onion and chili. It was like a basic home-style Bengali food and we enjoyed it. That's it for this video and thank you very much for watching.